Hello guys, hello. So welcome to my channel. You guys asked me for long form content. You guys asked me for a YouTube channel. So here it is, and I'm going to start strong with a Q&A because there were a lot of questions about this whole process. But before I get into the questions, I just want to put the honor where the honor is due. And I want to tell you guys that I am a Christian. I believe in God. Me and my whole family, we believe in God and we serve God. And we feel so blessed by God with this opportunity to buy this land and live together very closely, and really to foster this community mindset and this solidarity. And we're just so grateful that God helped us to achieve this, because honestly it's not by our own strength, but it's really through the grace of God that we're able to do that. One of the biggest questions is why and how did we decide to go ahead and buy this family village, or how did we decide to get into such a project together? Well, the main reason is my mom. So my dad passed away, I think it's like 15 years ago. And since then my mom has been a solo parent. Obviously now we're grown, me and my two oldest sisters, we have families of our own, and so we all live separate from our moms. And our mom told us several times that she didn't like the idea of growing old alone in that big house, in that big family house where we grew up in. And me and my sisters all live in apartments at the moment, and we were all actually looking into buying a house to extend our families and be more comfortable and to be homeowners. And so actually a year ago, at my mom's 60th birthday, we had a really sit down conversation, because me and my sister organized a little getaway weekend for her birthday. And then when we were having dinner, we really discussed it, and we said, okay, what actually can we do to make this happen? And we decided, okay, maybe let's look into buying a land where we can build, or buy an old farm. We literally said that, buying an old farm that we can renovate and create different sections for everyone. But we weren't in a hurry, because we knew that our mom was still working. She wasn't retired yet, so she wasn't planning on moving anytime soon, and we still wanted to have some more time to save some more money. So we were like, okay, let's start maybe thinking about it and discussing it with our husbands, but we will start taking it more seriously like in a few years. Little did we know that we were going to find it a few months later. So basically that's how or why we decided to jump into a project like this. It was mostly for our mom, so that she could grow old happy and surrounded with her family, her children, and her grandchildren. And so the next question is the follow-up of this question, and the next question is, how did we find the house? So as I said, we weren't really looking to buy right away. So we were thinking we were going to wait a few more years. But my middle sister Solange, one day, she just dropped a link in our family group chat and said like, oh, this could be something that is interesting. So she was looking on ImoWeb for other things herself, not even for the family project. And she jumped on basically a picture of I think it was 2 or 3 houses listed next to each other, and they were sold separately. and but it was on the same land. And she sent it in the group chat, and she was like, this can look interesting. Maybe we should go look and see if this is something for us, or we can maybe ask some questions to the agent. Maybe he can have some tips in regards to our projects. And when we all saw the pictures, we were like, oh yeah, that really looks interesting. And the property was located near to where my sister is living at the moment, so it wasn't too far, and we kind of already knew the neighborhood, let's say. Well, my sister knew it more than us. So we went there, and when we arrived, I explained a bit to the agent that we were looking to buy together with the whole family, that we were looking for 4 different houses. And she was like, oh, perfect, I actually have 4 different houses. One wasn't listed yet on the website, but I have 4 different houses available on this land. And we were like, okay, that's great. So we visited the different properties actually. And me and my sister, when we saw this, we immediately fell in love. Like, the atmosphere, the surrounding are so peaceful or so calming. There's so much nature. The houses were really in a good state. There was a lot of potential that we saw, and we actually knew right away whose house was gonna be whose. So just to wrap this question up, it wasn't a hassle. Thank God. I know that a lot of you asked me, like, did we hire an agent to find a property for us, or did we go through a specific website? We didn't do all this stuff. It didn't take us years to find that. I do feel like here in Belgium, it's not that hard to find old abandoned farms that you can remodel into something new. I feel like there's a lot of countryside here in Belgium that where there's things that you can do. So I feel like it's pretty common, and I see a lot of other people do that actually. So yeah, it wasn't really hard for us to find it. Sorry, I don't have a more complex story than that. It was actually that simple. And another question that was asked is, how did we know who was going to live where? That also was very easy. It was really obvious. The first time we visited, we actually knew which house would fit who. So we never negotiated, debated on who's gonna have which house. There was different factors involved. For example, one of the criteria for my mom, she said that she wanted to have a bedroom on the ground floor, because growing older, she didn't want to like have to get up some stairs. So one of the houses has that, so we knew that this house was going to be our mom's house. And then the other houses were like, size wise, they're a bit different, or they're a bit size wise they're a bit different. So we knew in function of our budgets who was gonna have which house. So for example, me and my husband, we are the youngest. We work the least amount of times out of my older sisters. So we have less financial baggage. So we knew that we were going to have the smaller house. And I say smaller, it's really a few square meters less, because we all will have 4 bedrooms and a garden. Like, all the houses have this amount of rooms. But yeah, it's a bit smaller, and we were totally fine with it. We wanted actually a smaller garden, because me and my husband were not gardeners, and we wanted a smaller house because we knew that that was gonna reduce our renovation costs. So it was really good for us to have the smaller portion. And yeah, so that's how we decided who was gonna live where. No negotiation. when you know each other, it's really easy to choose and not discuss on that. Next question is about the finances. So a lot of you asked us, like, how do you manage finances when it's such a big group, when it's such a big investment with several different people? And I get this question totally, because getting a mortgage with different people might be tricky. For us, how did it work? Since the old owner was selling each house separately. Wait, let me track back. So I call it an old farm because it used to be a farm, but the previous owner that bought the farm 30 years ago, he did some renovation. He updated the farm already, and he divided the farm already in different houses because he was not planning on using the farm as it is. He wanted to use it to rent it out. So he separated the farm in 4 different houses, and in each house he divided them, each level, into a different apartment. So these works were already done when we bought the farm. It was already divided into separate houses, and so we bought each an individual house. So when we got the land, or when we got the property, the land was already divided into different blocks, and each house course was linked to a different block of the property. So we know, like, which house we're buying, which garden we're buying, which parking spot we're buying. Everything was already sold in a package. So that was made super, super easy for us, because I don't know how we would have managed a mortgage all together. I don't even know if that's possible. So my baby just woke up from his nap, so I will have to finish the Q&A with him. He's like, stop talking. Can I talk? I want to answer 2 last questions. One of the questions is, what about our husband's family? Our husbands are obviously part of the plan, are excited about it. But I understand that you're wondering, like, wait, your husband and my sister's husband also have a family. What did they think about it? Why aren't they included? Blah blah blah. But the answer is really simple. So my husband is from Cameroon. He grew up there. He came here when he was like already an adult. So his family is still in Cameroon. His parents are still in Cameroon. So obviously they are not able to live with us here in Belgium. And for my sister's husband, I'm not going to talk for them and explain their situation, but obviously their parents are totally okay and excited about the situation, and they have their own stuff going on. So they're not really interested in being part of the family village, but they're totally excited about the project and involved as well. And I saw someone asking, how did we convince our husband to do that? Because, like, privacy, I can understand that some husband might not be excited to live with their family-in-law. But first I want to say, like, we are a really awesome family-in-law. Like, we're really cool. We get along very well. But yeah, our husband grew up in a culture where that was normal. My husband, coming from Cameroon, he grew up around his grandparents. So for him, it's normal to live close to family, even live in the same house with family. And for my sister husband is the same. He's from Poland, and where he grew up, they all live in the same street. So for them, it's just normal. So we didn't have to convince them to do that. They were really on board and excited about it, because for them, it's normal to live next to family. Obviously, as long as we maintain privacy, as we still have our own house, our own front door, we don't share rooms. So we're basically just all neighbors. So yeah, that's really cool that we can still have our own space, our own privacy, but still be next to each other and have that proximity. And one of the last questions I wanted to answer that I thought was really nice is the question about how did we get so close? How did our mom make sure that we were so close as sisters as well? I think that's a really nice question because I understand that some people cannot imagine living with their family like this because of conflicts, etc. Because sometimes you just don't get along with your family. But how did our mom get to it? So, like I said in the beginning, we're Christians. We believe in God. We grew up in a praying household. Yeah, we grew up in an very loving and caring environment, but our mother always taught us some Christian values like sharing, forgiveness, loving each other, taking care of each other, having grace and empathy towards each other, really just be there for each other, communicate with each other. And so growing up, we were always taught, even though we were fighting, to always forgive each other, to have each other's back, because we are sisters, we are blood, we are of the same family, the same household, and we should be there for each other. We should support each other. What she wanted to instill in us is to like unconditionally love each other, although we make mistakes, although we have flaws, and just to have grace with each other, be kind towards one another, speak highly of one another, respect each other, don't be rude to each other, don't insult each other. So language was also very important in our household. It was always important for our mom, the way we would talk to each other. Like, you can have arguments, but don't disrespect each other, you know? And so these are values that were instilled in us from a very young age. Reconciliation, also forgiveness, it's also a very big one, because we will always have disagreements, even now as adults, especially now that we're moving next to each other and we have this property that we're sharing. We will have disagreements, but that's okay. That's part of life. And I think it's important for our children to see that as well, to like, you can have disagreement. That's part of life. We're human beings. We won't always agree, but how do we deal with it? How do we treat each other despite these disagreements are super, super important. So yeah, that's how our mom made sure that we stay close. If you have a testimony that you want to share and edify in this community, drop in the comments. I'm always curious to hear how God is working in your lives and what he's doing in your families. Okay, my son is in need of me, so I need to go. Bye!